Abba Father, welcome to Psalm 23. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. This is, we are approaching the end of our study from the book of Psalm, the chapter 23. We have been going through it, talking about this experience that David goes through at this point of his life. And I want to start again reading from verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. So this is what I want to talk about today. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. That is from the King James Bible. So we have been discussing a lot of things, and one of the first things we did was put Psalm 23 in context, in the physical context in which David writes it. So whenever we think about Psalm 23, we usually think about a shepherd and sheep in lush meadows, on top of a mountain, on top of a hill, surrounded by wonderful pastures and a water source, maybe a river or something. And we always think in that way. But even though that can apply, when we read Psalm 23 in the context of 2 Samuel, where David is fleeing from Absalom, because that's when he writes it, when he's fleeing from, and Psalm 3, he's fleeing from Absalom, and he's in the wilderness, and he runs away, and he loses everything that he has. He's literally a refugee at this time. In his own kingdom, he's a refugee. He flees from his son who has taken his throne. And that is the context in which he's writing Psalm 23. He has enemies. In Psalm 57, he also talks about these enemies that are baying for his blood. And in Psalm 3, he spoke about many are they that are gathered against me, and that have said there is no hope for David. It says, but you, Lord, are my shield, my glory, and the lifter of my head. And this is the context in which David is writing these things. So understanding that then helps us to understand some of the things he's saying here that may not make sense to us in our culture today or in our world right now, because we're in a different context, and it's easy to just look at it on top, but when we pay more attention to the context, we glean a lot of what David is saying and how we can apply it in our lives. So here he said, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. We spoke about that in our previous message, where we talked about two things. One, that we always view this table as a feast, which it is, but not really. It's yes and no. In other words, that yes, there's the aspect of eating, there's the aspect of feeding, there's the aspect of having abundance and being fed and being taken care of. But there's a greater context, which is that this is not a banquet. No. This is coming, first of all, it's coming under the shadow of somebody, or coming under the refuge of somebody, or coming under the protection of somebody. Someone receives you and takes you by covenant, because of covenant, a love covenant. This person takes you under their wing, under their shadow, under their protection. And because they have taken you under their protection, they provide for you. And we saw the story here of when David flees, and he comes to this place, and these three princes come because he has entered their territory. He has entered their land. When they hear about David, that David has fled, because his son has overthrown him and is now in our territory. Then Barzillai and his friends decide to go because he's in their territory. He's under at Mahanaim. He's under their shadow because he has entered their realm, and they're the ones in charge of that realm. They are the princes, the kings, the nobles in that realm. Because now he is in their land, he is in their protection, he has come under their shadow. So they come and they provide him with everything that he needs. And that's the Yahweh laying a table for him. They come and give him food and give him drink and give him butter and give him oil and give him a bed to sleep on and earthen vessels to wash and basins to wash. They give him everything he needs to have a high quality of life, even though he's a refugee, but now he's in their land and he's under their shadow. And remember, they're his friends. So there's also this covenant union, this covenant relationship where because of covenant, because of their friendship with David over years, the onus is upon them to come and take him in their wing and take care of him. And so in this process of taking care of him, they provide a feast for him to eat. They give him a lot of food and a lot of drink and a lot of wine. He feasts. And we saw the picture of somebody fleeing from, and we see it over and over in the Old Testament, either a traveler that is tired and that comes into somebody's home. And once they are received, the host then provides for them the abundance of food and drink and rest and refreshment and oil, and they do everything for them, including surrendering their own bed to them so that they're comfortable. And they keep them safe from the night and the terror of the night. The other thing we saw, again, which we see in the Old Testament, is when somebody was fleeing, for example, in a war, and they ran into somebody's home and they were received, then this person took it upon them to protect them from their pursuers, whether that was by hiding them, like the spies who were hidden in a well, and the lady covered the well with a cloth and put, I think she put something on it on top to cover, to protect, so that they would not be found, or the ones who were put in a basket and lowered down the wall, or the one who was hidden on the roof. We see this whole people protecting and hiding and keeping the ones that have come under their shadow, under their wing. But then that's the first aspect of it. There's an element of feasting. The second aspect of it, which is most likely what he's talking about here, is this word here that he uses for a table is not speaking of these usual tables of ours. Rather, this is a special table. It's a table of reconciliation. It's a table where you gathered your enemies. It was a table where you sat to negotiate with your enemies, when people, to have a truce maybe with your enemies. So when people were fighting or conflicting, they sat at this special table of negotiation, and you sat with your enemy face to face. This is why he said that you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. That word for presence is literally meaning face to face, right in front of you. So the idea was that you sat at table with your enemies. You ate, and at this table, to promote goodwill, for everybody to trust each other, the host served food, a feast at this table, and all of us ate the same food, so that if the host poisoned that food, then he was also going to die of that poison. So once the host laid the table, invited the people that he was fighting with or conflicting with, disagreeing with, they came, they sat face to face in his presence, looking at each other in the eye, eyeballing, and then they served the feast in front of them, and then they talked about their conflict and they negotiated while they ate, while they feasted. He's laying a table before me in the presence of my enemies.